Charles, you've arrived. The heat brought you here, didn't it? They say summer is for joy, but that's a lie. Tonight I'll show you the truth. 3 real stories of whispers, of vanishings, of things that never sleep. Stay close, and whatever you do, don't look into the water. I used to love summer, the long nights, the sound of crickets in the fields, the heat clinging to your skin like an invisible blanket. It felt like the world was more alive, more vibrant, maybe too much. But there's something no one tells you. Summer is also when evil wakes up, when darkness doesn't need cold to creep in. The stories I'm about to share aren't just legends or internet rumors. These are real accounts, lived by ordinary people on summer nights that were never forgotten. People who, like you, thought heat was harmless. That danger only came with thunder or icy winds. They were wrong. Tonight you'll hear 3 mind-bending and sinister stories, each unfolding beneath the hot summer sky. 3 true experiences, soaked in fear, trauma, and something that should never have existed. So sit back, turn off the lights, shut the windows, and don't forget to look behind you once in a while. Summer may seem warm and welcoming, but it can hide horrors the cold would never dare to show. Before we begin, if you enjoy terrifying stories like these, hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. That way, you help us keep bringing these dark tales straight to you. Now, listen closely, because not every hot night ends with a sunrise. It was the hottest summer I'd ever lived through. One of those days where the air feels heavier than your own body. The streets were deserted, the trees stood completely still, and even the birds seemed to have given up singing. In that stifling, oppressive heat, my brother Raphael, our friend Diego, and I decided to escape the city. We wanted peace, shade, silence. And we thought our late grandfather's cabin, buried deep in the woods, would be the perfect hideaway. It took us nearly 5 hours to get there. The dirt road crumbled beneath the tires, and the heat made the landscape shimmer like a melting mirror. But when we finally saw the old wooden structure appear through the trees, something inside me shifted. It felt like the ground around it was breathing, but I ignored it. We all did. From the outside, the cabin looked intact, but the moment we opened the door, the smell hit us like a punch to the face. Wet wood, ancient mold, and something faintly like sun-rotted meat. A wall of heat wrapped around us as we stepped in. The air inside didn't move. It was stuck, thick, like trying to breathe through your ears. Still, we settled in. The only power came from a loud, sputtering generator. No cell signal. Perfect, we said. Total disconnection. But what we didn't know was that something was already waiting for us. Something that had never left the cabin. Something that felt us arrive. And with every step we took inside, it was slowly waking up. The first night, the heat didn't let up. Even with all the windows wide open, the air inside the cabin grew heavier by the hour. Sleep was impossible. Sweat clung to the sheets. The pillows felt like damp sun against the skin. Raphael lay shirtless on the couch. Diego snored softly on a makeshift mattress near the cold fireplace. And me, I couldn't close my eyes. It was in the middle of that suffocating night that I heard it for the first time. It wasn't loud, it wasn't clear, it was subtle, like a choked whisper coming from inside the walls. A sound that could have passed for wood creaking, except it repeated in patterns, rhythmic, like a cursed sentence spoken by a mouth that didn't exist. I got up quietly, trying not to wake the others. The floorboards groaned under my feet, and for a moment the sound stopped. I stood there, holding my breath, trying to convince myself it was just the heat, just exhaustion. But then it came again, this time closer, sharper. The wooden planks on the wall vibrated slightly, as if something were crawling inside them. I stepped forward, heart pounding like a war drum. Pressed my ear to the wall, nothing. Silence. But as soon as I leaned back, I heard it, right behind me, a dry, whispered word in the dark. Stay. I froze. Spun around. Nothing there. Just the kitchen. soaked in shadows. The chairs still, the distant hum of crickets outside. But inside the cabin, the air had changed. It was hotter now, as if something had lit an invisible fire beneath the floor. I crawled back onto my mattress without a word, heart racing. I closed my eyes, but I didn't sleep, because now I knew that wood wasn't just wood. That cabin was listening, and that night it whispered. Something was wrong the next morning. The heat had gotten worse. It wasn't just summer heat anymore. It was dense, greasy, like the air inside the cabin was fermenting. The walls were sweating, literally. Moisture dripped from the wood as if it was rotting from within. And there was a new smell, something putrid, sweet and wet, like meat left in a plastic bag under the sun. None of us said anything at first. We pretended everything was fine, but our eyes gave us away. Something had changed. Diego was the first to speak. I swear, the house breathed last night. We laughed. That hollow, nervous laugh meant to push fear away, not to ease it. But I knew he was right. And deep down, Raphael knew too, because that's when the small signs began piling up. Subtle, but impossible to ignore. Every clock in the cabin, a wall clock, the digital one in the kitchen, even the microwave was frozen. Exactly at 3:17 am, the same time I'd heard that voice whisper, "Stay." That night, the cabin didn't just watch us, it spoke. The whispers came back, only louder now, sharper. A mess of distorted languages, like echoes of prayers long forgotten. They came from every direction. The floor, the ceiling, the walls, and the floor began to vibrate beneath us, like a machine kicking to life. One by one, the windows slammed shut with violent force. Raphael ran to the front door. It wouldn't open. He pounded on it, cursed, pulled with all his strength. But the wood felt like it was flexing, fighting him back, like a body refusing to be cut open. "This place is wrong," he whispered, eyes wide, looking straight at me. Then the generator outside died. Instant darkness. No lights, no hum, only the whispers, now layered in overlapping voices, all around us. A chorus of something ancient, something hungry. And that's when it hit me. We weren't trapped inside a haunted house. The house was alive. Shadows stretched across the walls. Too far, too long, like fingers trying to reach us. The heat rose with every second. The furniture trembled. The entire place pulsed. I locked myself in the back room, my grandfather's old bedroom. There, I felt it, the floor breathing beneath my feet. I reached out and touched the wall, and I still regret it. It was warm, human warm, and it pulsed, slow, deep, like something alive, like blood flowed through it. That wood wasn't just wood, it was flesh. And then, in the pitch black, I felt a cold breath in my ear. A voice, clear, close, real, whispered, "You're part of me now." From that moment on, time no longer made sense. We didn't know if it was day or night anymore. The windows were sealed with something that looked like wood, but felt alive. Yes, alive. When Raphael pressed his forehead against one of them, he recoiled in terror and screamed. He said he felt it expand beneath his skin, like the chest of an animal breathing deep. We tried to get out. Raphael, always impulsive, grabbed a chair and smashed it against the front door. The chair shattered like glass, but the door didn't even flinch. Diego ran to the kitchen looking for a knife, but the silverware was melting, warped, soft, as if the heat inside the house had reached something unnatural, something impossible, and the whispers, they were now muffled screams, layered, swarming around us like invisible flies. Some of the words were familiar, but in languages none of us ever learned. Others didn't belong to any language at all. Rituals, spells, curses. Whatever this cabin was, it didn't just want our bodies, it wanted our minds, our souls. The lights inside flickered like they were submerged underwater. The bulbs pulsed in sync with the pounding beneath our feet. Thump, thump, thump. like a diseased heart beating under the floorboards. Raphael snapped. He started yelling at the cabin, punching the walls until his knuckles split. He kept screaming that he could hear his father, dead for years, calling him from behind the bathroom door. "It's him. I know it's him," he sobbed, unraveling. Diego tried to hold him back, but then the bathroom door creaked open on its own. A gust of freezing air rolled out, the only cold we had felt since we arrived. Raphael stepped inside. Diego and I screamed. We reached for him, but he was gone. Not like he ran. Gone. No sound. No trace. No logic. Diego collapsed to his knees, muttering a prayer in words he didn't even recognize. I couldn't move, because in that moment, I finally understood. The house had chosen, and it was feeding. One of us was already part of it, and the rest of us were next. I don't remember exactly how I got out. Maybe it was a moment of weakness from the house itself. Maybe it got distracted, satisfied with what it had already consumed. Or maybe it let me go, on purpose. All I know is, when I opened my eyes, I was outside, on the ground, in the woods. The sky was bleeding in shades of filthy red. Diego was gone. Raphael was gone. Everything was gone. Behind me, there was no cabin, just trees and silence. I screamed, ran in circles, looked for any sign. No trail, no ruins, no disturbed soil, nothing, as if it had all been swallowed by another world or erased from existence. I wandered for 2 days before reaching a road, 2 days with no food, no water. When they found me, I was sunburned, delirious, half dead. No one believed my story, and honestly, I shouldn't believe it either. But every summer night, when the air turns heavy and the heat wraps around my skin like a wet cloth, it comes back. The voice, the whisper, "You're still part of me." I've moved to 3 different cities, changed jobs, cut ties, started over. None of it works, because it's inside me now like it left something behind. A seed, a shadow, a sliver of its presence lodged in my mind. And sometimes when I walk past old houses, I feel it. That faint heat from the walls, a soft creak in the floor, a breath held just behind the drywall, and the whisper, always the whisper, "Come back. One day I know I won't resist. And when I return, maybe you'll be the next one it chooses." I was 17 when I went to spend the summer at my grandparents' farm in the countryside of Minas Gerais. It was the kind of invitation you accept just to escape the city and yourself. I needed air. I thought the countryside would give me that, but that's not what I found. The road was long, dusty, and the heat unbearable. The kind of heat that sticks to your skin and sinks into your bones. No wind, no relief. When I arrived, the sky hung still, too blue, too quiet, and the silence was wrong. No crickets, no cicadas, not even the whisper of wind through the corn. Just that oppressive heat, clinging to everything, like time itself had been trapped there. My grandparents' house looked smaller than I remembered, worn down, tired. My grandfather was on the porch, sitting like always, hat low over his face. My grandmother came out to greet me, but something was off. She smiled, but didn't show her teeth. I stopped for a moment to take in the land around me. The cornfield stretched endlessly, tall and dense, forming green walls that seemed to press in from all sides. And that's when I saw him for the first time. The Scarecrow, standing right in the center of the field, arms stretched out, straw poking from the sleeves, a wide hat drooping over its face. Ordinary, almost cliché, but something was wrong. It wasn't facing the fields to scare off birds. It was turned, facing the house. And no matter how much I tried to shake it off, the heat was telling me something else. That place was sick, alive, and hungry. By the first morning, something already felt off. The Scarecrow. It wasn't where I remembered. The night before, I was sure it stood near the center of the cornfield, almost directly in the middle. But now, as I looked out the kitchen window while sipping the coffee my grandmother had made, it was off to the left, not by much. Just enough to be wrong, just enough to make it feel like it had walked. I mentioned it casually. "Did the Scarecrow get moved?" My grandmother simply shook her head, offering no reply. She pretended not to hear me, as if the question itself was offensive. That afternoon, the heat became nearly unbearable. I stepped out for a walk around the house, hoping to catch a phone signal near the old wire fence that marked the cornfield's edge. That's when I heard the sound, like straw dragging. Slow scrape, scrape, stop, scrape, scrape, closer. I turned fast. Nothing, just the corn, motionless. The scarecrow, frozen again, staring at the house. But now, it looked taller. The hat sat higher, and the arms were spread wider than before. That night, I couldn't sleep. The heat was heavier. My bedroom window faced the field, and I couldn't bring myself to leave the curtain open. It felt like even in the dark, it could see me, like it was waiting. Then, at exactly 3:17 m, something cracked outside. 3 sharp knocks, wood on wood. I got up, walked slowly to the window. Everything was still, except the scarecrow. Now it was closer to the house. The next day, the heat was even more suffocating. Breakfast was silent. My grandmother set the food on the table without looking me in the eye. The old radio in the kitchen was off, and it felt like no one in that house wanted to hear anything beyond their own thoughts. It was my grandfather who broke the silence. Without lifting his eyes from his plate, in a voice cracked like someone chewing on memories that burned, he said, "Never look the straw man in the eyes." Then he went back to eating like he hadn't said anything at all. My grandmother froze for a second. Then she stood up, walked over to the radio and turned it on. Some random country station blared through the speakers. The volume climbed fast, drowning the room in noise. "What do you mean by that?" I asked. He didn't answer, just stared out the window, the one that faced the cornfield. That night, the heat was unbearable. Sleeping felt impossible, but exhaustion finally took me, until I woke up to a sharp sound from the backyard. Footsteps, slow, dragging, heavy, as if someone was scraping their feet across the dry earth. I got up quietly, trying not to make a sound, walked over to the window, heart pounding against my ribs, and there he was, the scarecrow on the porch, just a few meters from the kitchen door, standing still, arms still outstretched but now slightly bent downward, like he was about to embrace someone. The hat covered its face, but behind the shadow something caught the moonlight. Eyes that shouldn't be there. I crawled back into bed, barely breathing, covered my face with the sheet, and that was the moment I understood. Whatever that thing was out in the field, it wasn't just made of straw. I woke up to a sound that didn't belong. 3 dull knocks. Not on the door, on the wall, as if someone or something was trying to get attention from inside the house, not outside. The clock read 3:17 a.m. Trembling, I got out of bed and stepped into the hallway. The house was buried in a thick, heavy darkness, like the heat itself had become a living thing filling every corner. As I neared the kitchen, the sound returned, closer now, more rhythmic, like footsteps inside the house. The wooden floor creaked beneath me, but no one was there, or no one should have been. Suddenly, all the lights flickered, then went out. The kitchen radio hissed and died, the fan stopped spinning, and then complete silence. I walked to the front door, locked it, stepped back, but something was pulling me to look out the window. Against every instinct, I opened the curtain. The scarecrow was on the porch, facing me, still, but different this time. Its arms hung loosely at its sides, the head tilted slightly, as if it was studying me. And the eyes were open. There was barely any straw left on it. Its chest looked swollen, like something inside was breathing. The fabric of its shirt stretched and pulsed. I swear to you, it was alive. I ran to my grandfather's room. The door was locked. I started shouting, called for my grandmother, pounded on the walls. No answer. I tried the back door, but when I opened it, the backyard was gone. The cornfield had swallowed everything. The stalks now reached the very doorstep, thick and tangled like they had moved in during the night. And out there in the distance, dozens of scarecrows began to emerge from between the rows, like they were waking up and coming this way. The next morning, my grandparents found the house empty. The front door was wide open. Breakfast hadn't been made. The bed where I had slept, perfectly untouched, neatly made, as if no one had ever laid in it. My grandmother didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just walked over to the radio and turned it off. My grandfather stood up slowly, walked out onto the porch and sat down. He stayed there, staring out at the cornfield. They knew. Out there, somewhere deep within the suffocating rows of corn, there were now two scarecrows. One was older, weathered, familiar. The other, taller, newer, wearing the same plaid shirt I had worn the day before, and on its head, the missing hat my grandfather had lost months ago. No one spoke of the grandson who disappeared. They didn't call the police. They didn't tell the neighbors. Because in that place, some things aren't explained, and some presences never leave, especially in the summer, most of all, when you look into the eyes of the straw man. It all happened fast. We got the invitation on a random Wednesday. A guy from college, someone we barely spoke to, showed up with this strange little smile and said, "Heading to my family's vacation place this weekend. It's got a pool, plenty of room. You guys in?" It sounded perfect. The heat was unbearable. The city felt like it was melting, and any excuse to escape felt like a gift from above. The house was in a gated community, far from everything. Tree-lined streets, tall stone walls, complete silence. Even as we passed the front gate, something felt wrong. No birds singing, no wind rustling the trees, just thick, suffocating air, like everything around us had been paused. The house was beautiful, modern, huge, spotless. 5 bedrooms, a massive deck, and at the center of the backyard, the pool. It was enormous, too blue, so clean it didn't look real. Not a single leaf, not one bug floating on the surface. It was too perfect. But there was one detail no one mentioned at first. None of us went near the pool. We talked, we drank, we laughed. But nobody swam that first day. Not out of fear, but because something about it felt off. It was like the pool was watching us. And when night came, the host, who had seemed laid back all day, suddenly grew quiet. He looked out toward the yard and said, almost in a whisper, "Just don't go in the water at night. Never at night." The next morning, the pool was still there, beautiful, untouched, silent. No one mentioned what the host had said the night before. We acted like we hadn't heard it, or maybe we just hoped it was a bad joke. But even during the day, no one got close to the water. It felt like the air around the pool was different, colder, heavier, and the silence there was deeper, as if sound itself refused to reach that part of the yard. The house was alive, full of voices, music, laughter, but the pool area felt sealed off, dead. That's when Pedro, one of our friends, finally said what we were all thinking. "Has anyone noticed that no one's used the pool? Not even him?" Everyone turned. The host was on the patio, staring at the water with a blank, distant look. Then he said flatly, "That pool's just for decoration," and walked back inside. Silence. Later that night, as some people were heading to bed, I heard a sound from the yard, like something large had entered the pool, but there was no splash, just that hollow noise, sinking. I went to the window. The pool was there, still. And even though the lights were on around it, the water looked black. It reflected nothing. Not the lights, not the sky, not the house. And for a second, just one, I could swear I saw someone down there, standing still, watching me from the bottom. The night was stifling, one of those where the air sticks to your skin and sleep feels impossible. I wasn't the only one still awake. Around 2 in the morning, I heard soft footsteps through the house. It was Anna. She was barefoot, in shorts and a t-shirt, holding a small water bottle, her eyes restless. "What are you doing?" I whispered. She gave a mischievous little smile. "Just gonna dip my feet. I can't sleep in this heat." The back door creaked open. The patio lights flicked on. Anna crossed the yard in quiet, confident steps, like someone breaking a rule just to prove it's meaningless. I stayed by the window, watching. When she reached the edge of the pool, she hesitated for a moment, then sat down and dipped her feet in. Nothing happened. She laughed, looked back at me and shrugged with a playful "see?" Then she slipped into the water completely. It was smooth, effortless, like the water had gently pulled her in. She disappeared. The surface went still, perfect. No splash, no bubbles. I called her name. I shouted. I ran to the pool. Nothing. No sign of Anna. The water was cold, far colder than it should have been. The others woke up to my screaming. We searched the entire house, the yard, the street, called her name, looked everywhere, nothing. By morning, on the edge of the pool, we found 3 deep parallel marks, like claws, scratched into the tile and the host. He just said, without looking at anyone, "I told you." After Anna disappeared, nothing felt normal again. The pool became a void, a hole of silence in the middle of the house. No one went near it, not during the day, not at night. The water stayed perfectly still, but now it reflected nothing. Not the sky, not the sun, not the faces of those who dared to look. Pedro was the first to notice. "Look at this," he said, kneeling at the edge, his face inches from the surface. "It's like the water swallows the light." We moved closer. He was right. It was like the bottom no longer existed, like whatever was down there wasn't water, but something else, something alive. The host had locked himself in his room since the night before. He only came out when we heard his door slam. He stepped into the hallway pale, sweating, eyes bloodshot like he hadn't slept in days. The pool, it wasn't always like this. "What do you mean?" someone asked. "My parents. They built it over an old well, cursed land. There were stories, legends, but they didn't believe. They built anyway. And ever since then," he stopped. "Ever since then, it always takes someone. Silence. The entire house seemed to tremble. And then we heard it. From the depths of the pool came a sound. Not water, not bubbles. A whisper, faint, barely there, calling each of us by name. No one slept that final night. We locked doors, shut windows, avoided saying Anna's name. The host sat on the couch and staring at the floor, mumbling things none of us could understand. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the whole house shuddered. It wasn't an earthquake. It was like something had woken up. The pool began to make a low, deep hum. The water bubbled slowly. No wind, no movement nearby. And one by one, they started to vanish. Pedro went to the kitchen for water. He never came back. Clara went into the bathroom, gone. No screams, no struggle, just the sound of the pool, pulsing at the heart of the house like a hungry organ. I ran, locked myself in a bedroom, shaking. The whisper was now inside the walls, calling my name, begging me to open the door. When dawn finally came, silence. I stepped out, numb. Everything was calm. The host was gone. So were the others. The house was empty. I walked to the pool. The water was smooth, clear, beautiful, more perfect than ever. But at the bottom, deep, deep down, I saw something. Eyes. So many eyes. All open, all staring up, waiting. These 3 stories aren't just tales of horror, they're warnings. During summer, when the days stretch too long and the nights feel endless, there are places that begin to stir, things that don't sleep, and presences that wait beneath the earth, behind thin curtains, or at the bottom of a pool that's just a little too perfect. The boy who became a scarecrow, the girl who sank without a sound, the eyes watching from clear water. All these stories have one thing in common. A choice was made, and someone vanished. So if this summer you notice something just a bit off, a field too quiet, a house too perfect, or a pool that glows even at night, don't go in, don't look, don't dive, because maybe, just maybe, summer is watching you back.